everybody? Welcome back to Keys to the Rock. It's amazing to say welcome back. Daniel?
It really is. It really is. Ben Rego, Daniel Woods. We had a hiatus of some sort, I'd like to say.
Shelter in place. It's been a very, very
Shelter
difficult
at home.
time.
Shelter at home.
Shelter at home. It's been a very, very unique time. Certainly, this is something that we've been wanting to do once a month, but obviously for some unfortunate reasons we haven't been able to. But happy to be more than just a one episode wonder.
Hey, I got given quite a bit of stick, from a lot of friends being like, "Hey, when's the next podcast?"
Consistency is key. I know.
Yeah. So with that said, I mean, things seem to be on the rise, and I feel like we're going to be developing and continuing to build, and I think we can actually add that level of consistency now, and we can build on it. So the goal is, as we previously said last episode, once a month, different guests, and just, we're just really going to deep dive into some topics that you, the viewing public, would love to know and hear more about. All
real estate related guests, like we have one today. But first off, I'd like to say, even though I probably smell a little bit salty right now, thank you to our friends at Island Boat Club who dropped us off.
Good people over there.
Yep, fantastic boats. The Axopar boats, they're pretty exceptional. So thanks to those guys.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated to them.
For those who aren't looking to buy a boat, it's a very unique option to look at. So thanks to them. And today we're actually...
Yeah, I was going to say, so tell us about where we're at, because we pulled up by a boat, which is something I haven't done in a long time. Yeah. So obviously it's the company I keep. So Ben, I'm keeping you around from now on.
Sure.
Tell us about this property that we're at today.
It's a unique way to see properties. So yes, we're just at a centrally located waterfront home that I have for rent. And so we have had a good amount of activity. It's not online yet.
Ooh,
but
it's not online yet?
Not online yet.
Didn't you just
we
get like...
We posted on social media, but just as a little, teaser drip feed. But basically, guys, what we want to do is every episode, we want to do it in different locations, whether that be properties that are for sale or for rent, or hotels, or anywhere that some people actually might not always
Next episode's on a boat. Next episode's got to be on a boat after that experience.
All sorts, just to kind of always change it up. And
you pull up like that, we gotta be on a boat next time. But so that's great with all the access right there. And I'm going to get this out of the way right now because it just came to mind. I don't think we've really seen each other. I mean, we've talked, but we haven't really seen each other. But congratulations.
Haircut's looking good.
What's that?
Haircut's looking good.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Well, I'm congratulating you now. Congrats. I see that you raked up 4 awards at Rego Sotheby's. For the year, right?
International Realty. Always have to say the full. No, but thank you, mate. Thank you. I mean that was
in that type of year.
That was for the calendar year, but yes, for last year. But thank you.
Nice,
but anyway, it's on to the next one, right?
On to the next one.
Whenever there's any success or any deal or whatever, it doesn't matter. That's in the past. And what have you done for me lately? So let's keep it going. Keep it going.
Sure. No, yeah, a lot of people have short memory, but no, I just want to say, congrats and keep on striving, man. You're killing it, man. So I much appreciate it. So I mean, with you having such success last year, could you tell us about what the market's like right now? You know what I mean? Give us a little commentary on what's happening right now in the real estate world. People want to know.
I think it's been, I guess, since we lost out on last month, unfortunately, it's been probably about 2 months since we've last spoken on air.
Crazy.
And the market, I mean, even then, and over the last year, it's been absolutely wild. However, honestly, the last month or so, since the latest shelter in place lifted, it's been doing the exact same thing of what happened last year. So after we had the lockdown for obviously a longer period, everyone was out of the starting gates, like it was the 100-meter dash at the Olympics.
Just excited,
and
excitement.
It's the same exact frenzy that's going on now. So there's really no inventory. So whether it's a place for rent or for sale in a good location that's pretty well priced, things are just flying. And I would say, they're kind of going for a better price point than they would have done, say, in 2018, 2019. It's
so what would your advice be, I guess, to buyers? What would your advice be to sellers? I'm just putting you on the spot here, but you do handle pressure.
Sure, but a lot of people are saying, wow, you guys real estate agents must be loving what's going on in the industry now. And it is good for the government. It's good for sellers and landlords and things like that. When things are just absolutely moving at the rapid pace that they are, it's definitely a seller's and a landlord's market.
Yeah.
But really, I think for everyone's own sanity, it is quite nice to have a little bit more balance in the industry.
Yeah.
I know over the last probably about 10 days, even myself, what I've been personally involved in, some things haven't been a bidding war, but I've been involved in 4 bidding wars on sales
which
listings.
makes things very stressful and aggressive, and
some of these buyers I'm sure might be watching this, and they unfortunately haven't won out.
Which is
3 of those situations were asking price, and of course things are going over asking price, or things are just more competitive. So there's all sorts of different ways, you guys, that you can structure your offers, whether there's timing or the currency or even the amount of conditions and things like that. And I guess that's a little bit of a segue into what's our guest later on today.
No, for sure.
In terms of banking.
No, for sure. Yeah. So we're bringing in a banking specialist, Stephen Simons from HSBC, and he's going to really delve into a lot of basically the role that the bank can play in real estate transactions, and in the process of it all. We're going to dive into mortgage rates. We have a bunch of questions lined up that we got from the great viewing public, and some questions for our own self-interest that we just generally would like to know. We talked to quite a few people, I would say, between us in our careers, and what we understand is there's a lot of gaps in education, hence why we provide this show, right? I think that's sort of the concept of why we came together and wanted to put together this project. And I just really find that it will be great to have him, and we're going to look to have, as we previously mentioned, other experts and specialists in different industries and different fields that relate to real estate that can really give a better explanation on topics that... And
everything that he's going to talk about today, is completely transferable to other banks and things. I'm sure we'll have them on as guests in the future as well. It is so important to try to give yourself the biggest leg up in this industry right now if you are looking to buy, because, who knows how long this will last. I'm always completely... realistic person. You never want to be overly salesy and say, yes, now's the time to sell, to sell. When I get those questions, I say the market now is crazy. And there's been times over recent years where I've said, you know what, actually maybe wait until the summer, or wait until, we see what's going to happen with this or that. But right now it is shockingly busy. And I think everyone who...
You had the time for us today, though.
No, but always have time. But we create our own time, but there's just a lot that's going on, guys. And overall, it's good for Bermuda. And so we have to think about it that way. It's good when there's that much consumer confidence out there. And we will see where it leads.
So I think it's like, the more I'm talking to people as I'm doing these appraisals and I've been visiting these properties and stuff like that, I think, there's no exact reason as to why, but it seems like there's just like a huge capital influx right now in Bermuda, and at the same time I find like there's just a lot of people who all this time at home, especially from this most recent shelter in home, you're spending all of this time at home and you're like, all right, or you're spending all this time living in this
your
place
kids are irritating you.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Person,
like,
don't talk about Harry like that.
No.
Harry's a great kid.
But of course, and I think people are shuffling the way in which they're like, you know what, actually maybe I am going to be working from home more often, and they need that home office,
a little bit more flexibility, and want to sort of create an environment where they can sort of feel a little bit more comfortable from opposed to where sometimes people have previously maybe looked at it like, oh, my house is just a bed and breakfast, I'm literally just has my suitcases, has my bed, and has some food, maybe some beers or something like that, No, this is a place that I need to make my sanctuary, where I need to really feel a little bit more invested into it.
Sure.
So, you've been seeing a lot of people who's been doing construction loans and improvements.
You can't drive 5 minutes without finding something going on construction-wise all over the show.
So maybe is that what we might be talking about next episode? I feel like that might work. We can sort of try to bring in. So maybe we reach out to some of our contacts and see, but we're figuring it out. The one thing I will always say about this podcast is it's early days for all of us involved in this. We got a great team, behind the scenes team. You see me and Ben, but there's a squad behind us that really help and support us with all of this. And it's one of those things where we're all learning as we go. So with that said, I think it's probably time that we segue that into bringing on Steven.
Sure.
And let's shoot him some questions. And
Steven!
Really get into it. Welcome, Steven. Welcome,
Let's
Steven.
go, mate. Okay, guys. So we are nicely joined by Steven Simons from HSBC. So Steven has about 15 years of experience in the banking industry. And Steven, just talk about some of your background and exactly what do you do and manage at the firm.
Sure. So I'm the senior branch manager at HSBC. I work out of the Harborview branch, which is our flagship branch. I have oversight and responsibility for our retail sales team, which includes our mortgage specialists.
Okay.
Nice. Well, appreciate you joining us. You are the first guest.
No pressure.
No pressure at all, right? But I'm sure
and
you can handle
congratulations
this
as well.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
No worries, man. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. I really like what you guys are trying to do with bringing some awareness and insight to the industry and doing it in a fun way. So thanks for having me.
Much appreciated. So we'll get right into it. Our viewers, banking is obviously a very integral part of the real estate process, all right? So if you're looking to purchase a home, what did you say last time, Ben? 90% of sales are subject to financing?
I would say probably, at least that, really. And especially first-time home buyers, I would say probably almost 100%.
Okay, so speaking on that, first-time home buyers, what would you say from an education standpoint should they be looking at and be considering when going about the process of trying to own their piece of the rock?
First thing I would say is pre-approval is key. Get into one of the banks, preferably HSBC, come in and see us, and really have that pre-approval conversation early doors, because that's where you start to formalize what price range you should be shopping in. You start to understand what your budget looks like, what properties you can afford. And you really start to save some time for yourself and for the real estate agent that's going to be involved as well.
I mean, the market now has been so competitive where, things are flying off the shelves. Often there's been bidding wars and all sorts of things. So really getting that done in advance as opposed to, playing catch up after you've placed an offer, not even truly knowing if you can afford it. That really is going to, help you be more competitive with your offer.
That's good insight. So is there any sort of tips or tricks that you might say, what do they need to have for the pre-approval process?
There's two main aspects of a pre-approval: proof of income and proof of down payment. And the way our process kind of works is customer will come in and see us. They obviously have to provide ID so that we can confirm it's them. We will verify their income firstly, and that comes in a few forms. So it can be, if you bank with HSBC, it's quite easy. We can just look through your accounts.
All in-house,
It's all in-house, quite quick. If you don't bank with HSBC primarily, we would use bank statements or pay stubs. So we would need 3 months worth of those to verify your income. And then wherever you're holding your down payment, it's just simply providing us a confirmation. So it could be savings held at HSBC. Again, very easy to verify, very quick.
Yeah.
Could be savings held at Butterfield or one of the other banks. Or it could be even an investment portfolio held somewhere that we just need evidence that shows that you have the valid down payment to support the purchase.
I think it's important to know, what you touched upon there is, so many people come to me and say, okay, well, I only bank with this bank. But what about if I want to speak to HSBC or something like that? And it's really important that anyone, no matter where you bank with, whatever relationship you have, even if you're a premier banker with one bank, it's really important to actually go to all the banks and see what kind of different mortgages and the different programs that they have. So do you want to speak a little bit about that, the different programs that you guys have and what some of the rates are and things?
Sure. And before I jump across pre-approval, I think it's important to note that our pre-approval process is actually same day. So once a customer gets us everything that we require, we get that letter out to the customer at the same day, and then they can go about the next stage of looking at properties, which is really helpful for customers in a time-sensitive environment.
Sure.
No, 100%. And before we do jump to that, because it's now in my mind, the down payment. All right, so a lot of conversations I have with people, the average young Bermudian with the cost of living and everything like that in Bermuda, having 100K saved at the age of 25 or 30 or whatever age is a little bit more difficult. Yeah. Is there any sort of other ways?
Yes. So we actually spotted this as an opportunity a few years ago, and we brought about a product that we call the Springboard Mortgage, which is actually a good lead into your next question as well. Our Springboard product allows a customer to use a family or friend use their property as the down payment.
That's
so if a person has...
So it's kind of like a cosign?
Correct.
Yeah.
The person will put up their property as a guarantor if they have sufficient equity to support the down payment.
Right.
And that eliminates the need for cash. But we could also use a friend or family's cash as well. And we would put the cash on hold in an interest-bearing account for a period of 5 years. And then once that facility is paid down enough sufficiently, we release the cash or release the property back, and the person has a mortgage.
So a lesson with that, be nice to your family, but be nice to your friends as well.
Ben, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Can I borrow $100K? Can I borrow $100K for a mortgage?
No, Daniel. No,
okay. All right.
But
all right.
But anyway, good question though.
Your half of the business costs $100K.
Okay. Apparently so. Well, we're only growing, so maybe more than that one day.
All right. So back to the question that you had before.
About the rates and things like that.
The mortgage products that you guys have, a variety of them.
The products we have standard residential mortgage, which is 90% of the time what you see,
basic,
particularly as it comes to first time home buyers. We have a home equity product, which again allows customers to use the equity in an existing property to borrow. And we also have the Springboard product I just touched on. And we have a construction loan product as well, which, allows customers to develop a property or, even build from scratch. So.
What about land? Because there's a lot of uncertainty about that. There's not much land left in Bermuda, but, some places like Riddle's Bay or other locations where they've done some subdivisions, Tucker's Point and all of that. What do you do in terms of land?
We'll do the same thing. So we do offer lending as it relates to land. There are a few nuances as it comes to the requirements around that, but...
Because previously, I believe you had to buy land in cash.
No, we do financing for land.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Okay. And so do you guys find that you're getting right now a lot of business where people are like, one thing I've realized from the various houses I've been to is people don't really stay on top of improvements, right? So is that where the home equity and the construction loans are primarily coming?
We've seen that explode with the COVID pandemic.
No, I bet.
Yeah, people, I guess it's because we've been stuck in our places for so long.
Yeah.
People are looking around and spotting areas for opportunities.
Let me fix this. Let me do this.
It has really
That's
exploded.
$1 million question. People are always saying, why is the market going crazy now amidst all this uncertainty? But I think, those very points that, people are looking around their yard and saying, you know what, maybe I should put a pool here or do this extension, build a home office, things of that matter. Yeah,
I would say along that too. I mean, in the spirit of education, typically what we do 80% financing. So I really want to get across to the viewers that, and I'll give an example. So when we're talking about home equity or construction loan, let's just say, Ben, you have $1 million property and you've paid down on this mortgage and you've got about $600,000 left, right? So that $400,000 difference between your valuation and what you have left to pay, we would actually lend you 80% of that $1 million. So you can take out another $200,000, take it up to that $800,000 mark, and do whatever improvements or projects you would like to that property.
So the appraisal really is a big factor, right?
It is.
Okay, so if the appraisal was to come in, so now switching gears a little bit to someone purchasing a house, and I guess this goes back into why you were sort of earlier saying, you want to have your pre-approval beforehand so you can have everything else sorted before you get there. Yeah. But if an appraisal was to come in lower than the
accepted price,
what does that sort of mean?
Typically, what we see there, a lower appraised value would initiate a renegotiation on the client's behalf.
Yeah.
Nobody really wants to overpay for something. Though with the marketplace, it is where it is now. We are seeing it from time to time because customers just want to win that bid.
And aren't there situations where the appraisal itself, and Daniel, this is speaking to you too, but where the appraisal can actually be challenged and then someone else can have an appraisal done, let's say by another appraiser or something like that, and then actually it still would go through in that sense.
Very unique, but we do see it. Customers may not be happy with the first appraisal and wish to pay for another one. As we know, customers pay for these things. They're not cheap. So we would take that into consideration. Now, if there are vast differences, we may question why, and do a bit more
due diligence
legwork
on
that
side.
one.
No, for sure.
But as it relates to the bank, when we get instances where the appraised value comes back lower than the purchase price, we will base all of our lending decisions on the lower of the two.
Okay,
understood.
Okay, Stephen, so you talked about some of the products. So can you give us some examples of those and talk about some of the rates?
Sure. So our rates are on a bit of a tiered structure. For our residential mortgages, for our mass customers, which is the rate is 6.5% standard variable rate. Our advanced customers, which is almost like our mid-tier proposition, they get a rate of 6.25%. And then our premier customers, which is our top-tier proposition, get a rate of 5.99% variable. We do offer fixed-rate mortgages, but all of those rates are approved by our product team. We don't have a standard fixed rate based on the facility. Those will go up to our product pricing desk, and they will offer us a fixed rate, which will relate to the client. Our home equity rate, which is what I talked about in terms of using the equity in your property, is 5.75%, which is a bit lower than the standard variable rate. And that's the same for our construction facility as well.
Okay.
So I have people ask me quite often, do the rates fluctuate? Do you see, in a year's time, if I'm looking to buy, is it going to be a much different situation then? I mean, these are questions that people want to know who aren't maybe looking to buy now, but maybe in the future.
$1 million question. Yeah. What I will say about HSBC is, in my time in sales, which has been the last 5-6 years, our rates haven't moved that much. Maybe 25 basis points up, 25 basis points back down. We've typically held the lowest variable rates on the island for quite some time now. So this is where I encourage customers to come in and have that conversation early.
So it's competitive. It can be like you can sort of compete a little bit, is what you're sort of leading to
with the different lending institutions.
Yeah, and we're seeing that quite a bit. And I'm sure Ben, you would agree. The marketplace right now is on fire. Customers are shopping around, as they should. It's typically the biggest purchase of a customer's life, so they should do the due diligence and get out there. And we have the ability to compete. HSBC has been and is still the market share leader in Bermuda, and I think that kind of speaks to our ability to be competitive.
The world's local bank.
Correct.
Isn't that right?
Did your homework.
I've seen
nice.
that.
I've seen that. So,
speaking of the world, often, I'm getting foreigners and actually even Bermudians who live abroad, but people always asking, can I get a mortgage in Bermuda, even if they have no relationship with any bank in Bermuda? What's the situation with that? How easy is that to do?
I mean, it's quite simple. Anybody that has eligibility to purchase property in Bermuda and can evidence the required income to be able to afford it, we can lend to. So I would encourage all of those customers as well to come and see us. We can get quite creative with our offering. But again, it's key on, do you have the eligibility to purchase property in Bermuda, and do you have the income to support it?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Oh, last question before I forget, actually. Got this one on DM. You can apply for a mortgage up to 65?
Typically, by policy, we say up to 65. But we do have some flexibility as it relates to age. Okay. As I think you guys would know, government recently changed legislation around retirement age for their employees up to 68. So for that subset of people, we can lend up to 68. For some self-employed people in white-collar jobs, such as doctors, lawyers, things like that, we have the ability to go up to 70. Okay. But again, that's one of those things where by policy, it's up to 65 because we really don't want to be putting customers in a position at retirement where they have no income to pay off outstanding debt. But 100%. We have some flexibility in terms of what we can offer clients in that space.
Okay. Well, I think that sort of... Any other questions from you, Ben?
Nothing else from me at this moment, but certainly, every day people are coming up with all sorts of different scenarios and I'm sure questions. So definitely, if you have any other questions for Stephen or ourselves to do with Stephen and the banking industry in general, feel free to reach out to us. Stephen, I'm sure we'll put your contact details here. I like doing that.
Yeah, exactly
there. But thank you so much for joining us.
Much appreciated for joining us. It's very informative. And like anyone who's out there listening, reach out to Stephen. And just to be clear, like a lot of the stuff that Stephen was saying today, yes, he is a HSBC employee, but it is sort of generally, transferable across the board. So, just have those conversations and get pre-approved.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks again to Stephen. Honestly, it was very refreshing to have someone so informative on all of the banking ins and outs. And, he provided insight to myself, to probably all of the viewers, I would hope, and even yourself, in terms of what basically the different banks can offer and all of the intricacies that they...
It's an intimidating step, I think, to start out going to the banks and going for a pre-approval.
100%. I think he was saying that they offer basically everything online. Yeah. We might have spoke about that off the record, but everything's available offline. And on top of that, you know what's even more intimidating? Can you guess?
What?
He was our first guest.
So,
kudos to him for being very flexible and taking the time to come in and, speak with us today. So I guess on that note, I think I'm not sure where we're at in the timeline, but it feels like it's been a good day. I mean, we've been doing this all off cuff. No edits.
Never.
Yeah. Amir's got a very easy job. Shout out Amir. But do you have any... What is it? What have we started calling? 4 keys or what is it? The 3 keys or something? Some keys to take away
the rock without being too corny with a little plug there. But
I think we're corny, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, of course. But little dad joke every now and then never hurts. But yeah, certainly I think my main keys, certainly I would say, get pre-approved.
Pre-approval.
ASAP.
Vital.
And also, I don't believe we touched upon this with Stephen, but I do believe that your pre-approval, I think it's, you might know as in the appraisal field, I do think it's every 6 months. So I think
there is a term. Yeah. And I'm not sure if all the banks are the same, but I do believe HSBC is 6 months. So it lasts for a certain period.
Yeah. So if you've got your pre-approval and then let's say, you're looking perhaps for the next quarter or something like that, or 2 quarters down the road, you might actually want to, you change jobs or something like that. You might actually want to go back and see, actually, you might be able to be supported by the banks and a much higher figure, especially in this competitive market. So that's 100%. My main one. I also think it's important to shop around, right? So I think we've been preaching that, where even if someone banks with one of the banks, it's really good to go to all of them. It doesn't mean that is, very likely they already have your accounts and you already have those relationships there, but it's absolutely the case where you might actually get a better rate, and they all are very competitive to offer you what hopefully will be the best package for you to be successful in purchasing property.
No, well said. And I think I'll come with the last one because you spoke on it, but the way, and I see it just about every day, and Ben sees it just from you can check his phone right now. Buzzing.
It's over there.
It's over there.
No distractions, you guys.
Other agents might have it on them, but
they wake up at 6. I'll be up at 5:59. Go for it.
But anywho, the market is crazy right now. So it is a crazy market, and you really want to get like all of your ducks in a row, whether you are on the selling or the buying end. You want to make sure that you have a product, or you have yourself and all of your, everything together to be able to really take full advantage of the situation at hand. Reach out to agents, reach out to banks, reach out to, all of the different stakeholders around the industry to get a good idea of how you should sort of move forward. And, not even to sort of plug ourselves, but by all means, I mean, the reason we started this was to sort of just add an education basis. So, like, if you have any questions or have any, even if it's something just miniature, very, very minute, by all means, don't hesitate to, like, DM Ben or send me an email or whatever the case may be, because at the end of the day, we created this with the idea of helping people get educated on real estate.
Yeah, I mean, it's a true pillar of long-term, being comfortable with your family and your assets and things like that. It's a real point, I think, a goal that everyone has, right?
A piece of the rock.
To have a piece of the rock, and something that your family and generations after you can benefit from. So,
for sure.
I think for sellers out there, it is a crazy time right now. It's a very advantageous time to sell. But for buyers out there, to not get discouraged when, very likely you've been involved in bidding wars and all sorts of things going on right now. I mean, ultimately, when you are successful with that property, even if there are other offers and it is quite a stressful time in purchasing, what you have to realize is that there's a lot of other people who are very keen on the same property that you are wanting to buy. You do not want to buy the house that has necessarily been sitting there and having no interest and having price reductions and all the sort. You want to buy the popular house.
He's keeping it 100 right now.
But it's
as the kids say. say?
Yeah, so the kids. But yeah, so we shall see where the industry goes. But all we know is what's going on right now, and strike while the iron's hot sort of mentality, at least for those who have these properties to sell.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think on that note, I think we guys basically at completion. Sure. Thank you once again for joining Ben and myself, Daniel Woods, on this episode, Keys to the Rock, episode 2. And like we said before, we're going to be building on this and being a little bit more consistent now that we have a little bit more control over external factors. Well, I'm not going to say control, but you know what I mean? Now that we have a little bit more structure in place. And I think the last thing is we do a business spotlight.
Yeah. Well, firstly, before that, I would just like to say, obviously, hope everyone stays safe out there. And that means that obviously we will be seeing each other more often.
No, sure.
And that, everyone in their businesses and their family and health and everyone, all best wishes for Bermuda and everyone really globally. I know we have some friends and previous colleagues and stuff who do tune in as well. So
nice.
Sure.
That was very
it's
politician-esque.
It's important to say. I mean, it's
no, I get it.
It's crazy times.
But so the business spotlight for this week, I was actually there on Sunday and I had a fantastic time.
Where's that?
It's Extreme Sports Fun Zone.
Okay.
All right. Have you been there yet?
No. I've seen you post about it.
But you haven't been there.
Haven't been yet.
I
like fun and I like things that are extreme, and I like being in the zone. So okay.
All right. So Extreme Sports Fun Zone is located.
Is there an age limit?
I don't know. I think with the regulations in place right now, it would actually be a perfect place for Harry to go really enjoy. And they got like a slime room and stuff like that. But what I find, slime. Yeah. But what I find right now, I think the regulations, they've been a little bit shackled, let's say, for lack of a better word, in terms of what they can offer. So right now, I just had really a great time. I actually took my mom down there for Mother's Day. For like Shout out Des, great lady.
Yes.
Well, I took her down there for Mother's Day for a soft opening of their deck. They built this nice new deck down there.
Cool.
And
I've seen I've seen posts about that. Well, great. Yeah.
Yeah. So shout them out. I think it's extremesportsbmd.com. We're going to get that and put that somewhere right here.
Sure.
We'll put it right here.
Sure.
All right. But anyway, thanks for joining us. And
thank you, guys.
Look forward to seeing you guys next episode.
Next episode, new location as always. And feel free to reach out anytime. Cheers, guys.